January 10, 1944. Southern France, occupied territory. The wind stirs the dust along the dirt road that winds through the village of Saint-Pierre. The sound is thin, almost mournful, as it brushes past the abandoned houses. The once bright colors of the storefronts are dulled, painted over with layers of wear, grime, and the heavy weight of silence. The air is thick with the scent of wood, damp earth, and burnt remnants from the last bombardment. An old church bell tolls faintly in the distance, but no one answers its call. The village is empty, save for a single figure standing by the edge of the road, a girl, no older than 16, her dark eyes fixed on the horizon. Marie Dubois's hands tremble slightly as she grips the edge of the rifle she has never fired, but even more, they tremble with something deeper, a knowledge that, within her grasp, lies the fate of this place. The Nazi convoy is coming. The village has been condemned, its future written in the cold calculations of men too far removed to care about those who live here. She doesn't belong here, she knows that. She's too young. Too ordinary. The war has taught her nothing but survival, and survival is all that matters now. From the vantage of the hill, Marie can just make out the distant silhouette of the German convoy, the faint sound of military trucks humming through the empty fields. Her breath catches in her chest. It is a sound she has come to dread in the last few days, a reminder of her helplessness. But she doesn't have time to be afraid. The convoy will arrive in mere hours, and her mission must begin now. The conflict is here, in the space between what she is told she can do and what she knows she must do. The village, a once thriving farming community, is an afterthought in the grand scheme of war. The Allies are too far away. Too scattered. For the people here, there is only one chance: delay the German forces, cripple their supply lines, and buy enough time for someone, somewhere, to come. But Marie is alone. Her only allies are the handful of farmers and laborers who have stayed behind to hide in the forests and caves, too proud to abandon their homes. She looks at the rifle in her hands, its weight unfamiliar. She was never meant for this. Marie had once dreamed of being a teacher, her head buried in books and dreams of a world far from the violence that now defines her days. But that world has vanished. It's hard to remember what life was like before the war, when laughter echoed through the streets and the smell of bread baking in the oven could be counted among the most cherished memories. Now, those memories are fading, overtaken by the grinding noise of war. Her mind wanders back, briefly, to the faces of those she has loved and lost. Her mother, gone without a trace. Her father, who died trying to protect her from soldiers. She is all that remains, and with that comes a weight she cannot shake. But she will not fall. Marie takes a deep breath and glances toward the thick forest at the edge of the village. She knows where the enemy's supply line passes. A series of railway tracks, abandoned by the Germans but still accessible to those who know how to slip in unnoticed. That's where she will strike. A simple, small act, one that could disrupt the convoy long enough to make a difference. But she wonders, how does a girl like her stand a chance against the brutality of an army that's conquered nearly every corner of Europe? The first step is always the hardest, and Marie sets out from the village under the cover of dusk, her footsteps muffled by the soft crunch of snow beneath her boots. She knows the land as well as she knows her own skin. The hills, the woods, the streams, they are her allies now. But in these dark hours, she is an outsider in her own land, hunted by the same forces that she's trying to thwart. There's no turning back. Every shadow she passes could hide a German patrol. Every rustle in the trees could signal the enemy closing in. The fear presses in on her chest, heavy, suffocating. It's not just the fear of the soldiers. It's the fear that she's too small, too inexperienced, to do what needs to be done. But then, a quiet defiance stirs in her. She is not afraid of dying. She is afraid of nothing being done. The railway track looms ahead, a steel serpent cutting through the cold, barren earth. The wooden planks beneath the rails have been rotting for months, but the tracks remain solid, a relic of past ambition. Marie crouches behind a pile of stones, her heart thudding in her chest. She's not just here to sabotage the enemy's supply chain. She's here to prove that even the smallest spark of resistance can set the world on fire. Her plan is simple. Pull the lever. Dislodge the track. Derail the convoy. A single break in the chain can change everything. The sound of a vehicle's engine rumbles in the distance. She freezes. Every instinct tells her to run, to flee back to the village, to save herself. But she doesn't. Instead, she breathes in deeply, then exhales slowly. She is here for a reason. This is her moment. She moves. Her hands are steady as she works, guided by determination and the urgent desire to act before it's too late. The sun is setting, and soon the darkness will shield her. With each click of the track, she can feel time slipping away. The convoy is closer now, and so is the reckoning. The noise of the trucks is louder, clearer. But as the final piece of the sabotage falls into place, Marie knows one truth: the world will not stop for her. The world will never know her name. The train's brakes will scream. The trucks will fall apart. But the village will be saved, for now. And that is enough. In the stillness of the cold evening, Marie stands alone by the ruined tracks. The enemy is coming, but for a fleeting moment, they have been delayed. The convoy turns the corner, a sea of soldiers, rifles, and war machines, but now they will find nothing but scattered debris. The destruction is temporary, but the message is clear. The enemy may march through her village, but they will not march over her. Marie watches, a quiet resolve on her face. She knows that the price of this act, of her defiance, could be everything. But for now, she has done what was necessary. And as the convoy halts, she disappears into the night, unseen, unheard. But she has changed the course of history, and for just a moment, she has won. What happens when history forgets the ones who make it? February 14, 1944. The French countryside. The morning air is thick with the mist of early winter, damp and heavy, clinging to the trees that line the fields outside Saint-Pierre. In the distance, the faint sound of German trucks shifting along the narrow dirt roads drifts through the air, like the slow march of inevitability. But today is different. Today, the ground feels alive with tension. It is as if the earth itself holds its breath, waiting for what will come next. Marie Dubois, crouched in a thick brush that skirts the far edge of the village, barely makes a sound. She is a shadow, quiet, watchful. The rifle is strapped to her back, but her hands are empty. She doesn't need the rifle now. What she needs is her mind, sharp and focused, a tool honed in the heat of necessity. The sabotage from weeks before had been only a first step. The convoy had been delayed, but the German forces had regrouped. The task is far from over. For Marie, this is no longer just about survival. This is about proving that those like her, the young, the small, the overlooked, can change the course of this war. She is no longer simply a girl hiding in the shadows. She is a force. A quiet one, but a force nonetheless. The convoy has moved deeper into the countryside, closer to the next town. They are transporting supplies for a large offensive, enough to break the resistance once and for all. The mission now is simple: strike again. This time, Marie has something more, a plan. A single, subtle way to cripple their efforts, just long enough to buy more time. The German officers, oblivious to her presence, are marching right into her trap. She watches the convoy roll past, the trucks rattling and the engines coughing. The road ahead is narrow, a perfect choke point, and Marie knows exactly where they will stop for fuel. The military trucks will be refueled, then sent on their way, like a machine with a single purpose. But Marie has learned how to think like that machine. She knows its weaknesses, its patterns. And now, she is the wrench in its gears. For all their power, for all their machinery, the Germans are just like everyone else. They depend on the same things: supplies, fuel, and time. Marie moves swiftly through the woods, her footsteps soft against the wet earth, her heart steady. She reaches the small, abandoned barn near the junction of the road, just as the convoy begins to slow for the refueling station. She has one chance. She sets to work quickly, moving with precision. The barn hides enough supplies, barrels of oil, tools, rope, that will serve as her tools for sabotage. The Germans will never expect it. She knows what they don't: the refueling station is poorly guarded. In their haste, they have left an opening that, if she's clever, will be the key to their downfall. Marie takes a deep breath, steeling herself. The plan is reckless, but it's the only plan she has. She's been in situations like this before. Time moves differently in war, seconds stretched into hours, every decision a gamble. But her resolve has been tested before. She's seen things, done things, that most would never believe a girl her age capable of. The world has underestimated her at every turn. But now, it's her turn to make the world listen. She ties the rope tightly to a set of barrels, their heavy, oil-filled weight dragging behind her. The sound of the convoy is almost deafening now, the trucks parked just ahead, their engines humming. She moves in silence, each step calculated. She reaches the edge of the station, hiding behind a stack of crates. She can feel her heart racing in her chest, but her mind is calm, focused. The barrels, when tipped, will spill a path of oil directly across the narrow road. The convoy will have no choice but to stop, and when they do, she will strike. She ties off the rope, ready to pull. The only thing standing between her and success is one German soldier, who stands now, just feet away, guarding the supply crates. He looks too far to notice her, but she knows better. In this war, everyone notices. She holds her breath, waiting for a sound, a distraction, anything to break the stillness. Just as the soldier shifts, glancing away for only a moment, Marie pulls the rope. The barrels roll into place, their contents spilling across the road in a slow, dark stream. Her heart lurches. The oil splashes, seeping into every crevice. The trap is set. The convoy is approaching. Everything hangs on this moment. The soldier steps back, eyes narrowing as he watches the oil slick form before him. The trucks begin to slow, their wheels slipping against the slick surface. Panic ripples through the convoy as one truck, then another, slides dangerously off the road. The delay is more than enough. The officer in charge curses loudly. The convoy is forced to stop, just as Marie had hoped. Her pulse pounds in her ears, but she doesn't wait. She doesn't need to. She's done what she came to do. She's created the window, the one opportunity the resistance has been waiting for. As the convoy struggles to regain control, Marie slips back into the woods, a figure no one can see. She doesn't feel relief, not yet. Her heart is still tight with the weight of what she's done. She can't afford to feel it. Not yet. The road ahead is still long. The Nazis will return, and next time, they'll come with more force. But today, just today, she has won. The convoy will lose hours to repairs, supplies wasted, their route delayed. The Germans will have no idea who caused it. And in that, there is power, quiet, unseen power. Marie watches from a distance, the trees swallowing her whole as the convoy leaders bark orders, frantically trying to get their trucks back on course. She could disappear into the shadows and never be seen again, a nameless face in a war full of forgotten lives. But that will never be the story told. Her story will not fade. It cannot. It is written in the spaces between each blow struck against the enemy, in the quiet moments where one small girl defied the power of a machine larger than anything she could ever imagine. The world may not know her name, but for today, she has made them listen. The clock ticks on. The war is far from over. But today, she stands victorious. How many others are out there, fighting with nothing but courage and the belief that they can make a difference? April 3, 1944. Paris, France. The city, once known for its lights, now lies shrouded in smoke and dust. The distant echo of a bomb's impact fades into the haze that clings to the streets, muffling the cries of a population too familiar with sorrow. The cobbled roads, once familiar and inviting, are now cracked and broken. The cafes are closed, their windows shattered by the shock waves of conflict. And through it all, Marie Dubois moves quietly, almost unnoticed, through the streets of Paris. She's not a soldier, not an officer, not someone whose name will be written into the pages of history books. To the world, she is one of thousands, forgotten in the vast machinery of war. Yet her role in this conflict, and in the fate of Saint-Pierre, has been pivotal. Her efforts have turned the tide in ways no one will ever see. As she walks, her mind lingers on the war, the sabotage she engineered, the convoys she halted, the lives she saved. But today, the world has moved on. The Allies have entered Paris, the Nazis are in retreat, and the banners of victory hang in every window. But none of that matters to her. The victory is distant, out of reach. She wasn't there when the city fell. She wasn't there to witness the end. In the aftermath of her final act of sabotage, the village of Saint-Pierre had been spared, just long enough to buy time for the resistance to rally. Yet, Marie's involvement had not been recognized. The bravery, the risks she took, the cleverness she employed, all of it was dismissed, overshadowed by the larger war, the louder victories. She had worked in the shadows, and the shadows, as always, were where she remained. The war has its heroes, but they are not always the ones who fight in plain sight. She walks past a military office, its windows now displaying the faces of men who had returned from the front lines, their medals gleaming in the afternoon light. Them, a face on a poster, a name in the papers. But Marie knows better than anyone that the war does not care for the small victories. It only cares for the headlines. The bustling crowds of Parisians, freed from their oppressors, are lost in their own celebration. They don't see her. They don't know half of it. They don't know how close their victory came to being torn apart by the German supply lines she had so cleverly sabotaged. She was too small, too insignificant, for anyone to recognize. She had known this from the start, but the reality of it stings more than she expected. Marie stops at the edge of a cafe, watching a group of resistance fighters share a bottle of wine. They speak of the war, of the battles they fought, of the victories won. But Marie's name is not mentioned. Her deeds are not spoken of, not even among those who fought beside her in the shadows. They do not know her story. The woman who had single-handedly delayed the German convoy, who had taken on the enemy when no one else could, she is lost to history, swept away in the rush of louder, grander tales. Is that all a life is worth? A footnote? A forgotten gesture in a world too eager to move on. She turns away, her footsteps soft against the wet ground. As she walks through the streets of Paris, a part of her feels detached from the reality around her. The war is over, the enemy is retreating, and the heroes of the resistance are finally receiving the recognition they deserve. The large stories have been told, the major battles won, and yet, the small ones, the unseen ones, remain buried. Marie will never be one of those names. Her courage, her sacrifices, will not echo through the years. Her mind wanders back to the village of Saint-Pierre, the place where her name is whispered among the survivors, if it is whispered at all. In the quiet corners of the village, they remember her. The farmers who lived because she delayed the convoy. The children who could still play in the fields because she risked everything to halt the German march. But in Paris, her name is lost. She saved a village. But that's not enough for the world. Marie's walk takes her to the banks of the river Seine, where the water moves slowly, relentlessly. It reflects the city's new dawn, bright, full of possibility. But to Marie, the water is a reminder of what has been forgotten. In the rush of history, the small moments are lost. The victories fought in silence, the heroes who never had the chance to be celebrated, fade away. For the world, Marie's victory is nothing more than a pause in a larger battle. She sits on the edge of the stone embankment, her hands folded in her lap. A single thought lingers in her mind: what does it mean to be a hero when no one knows your name? What does it mean to sacrifice everything for a cause, only to watch the world move on as if nothing had ever happened? It is a question that will remain unanswered, for history will never truly know her story. But for Marie, it does not matter. Her fight was not for recognition. Her fight was for survival, for the chance to make a difference, for the possibility that one small act could change the course of history. The air is colder now, and the sun is beginning to set behind the clouds. The streets of Paris are alive with chatter, with laughter, with the sound of a world rebuilding itself. But Marie is alone, watching it all, knowing that the past will never return to her. In the end, it is not the grand victories that matter, but the quiet ones. The ones fought in the shadows, in silence. And while the world moves forward, the stories of those who fought in the quiet places will always be left behind. Marie stands and walks away from the river, disappearing into the evening mist, leaving behind a world that will never remember her. The cost of her victory is not just the lives she saved. It is the price of anonymity, the knowledge that some heroes will never be seen, and that some victories, no matter how vital, will remain untold. And perhaps, that is the cruelest thing of all, to change the course of history and be forgotten by it.